to all the team and all the friends that we're going to be sharing this night together with. We have Alex from Sonda. She's going to be presenting a margarita for us. We have Jack from On Tap in Ormond, who is also going to be preparing a Rosita, which is a delicious cocktail. And we also have Shai, who's going to be doing a Mexican dessert. And this is a different kind of Mexican dessert, the kind that I actually like. So wait for it. It's gonna be great. So the dynamics of today, we're gonna try to keep this as fun, as easy, as relaxed as possible. It's all about you guys enjoying this. And at the end of the day, you have all the recipes with you. You have the recipes, you have the directions. You know exactly what you have to do. So it should be very simple and easy. So enjoy the night. What I'm gonna provide to you and what all of us, Shai, Alex, Jack, and I, we're going to provide you with tips, things that you walk away with, and either you can talk about, you can brag about, you can impress other people about, but also it's all about making Mexican food easy for you. We want you to embrace Mexican because Mexican is fresh, Mexican is delicious, Mexican is all about enjoying the time together. It's all about getting around the table, and it's all about freshness. And that's what we're going to show you today. To make delicious Mexican, it's all about freshness, freshness, freshness. 3 times freshness, because that's all it is. It's fresh ingredients. Forget about the yellow box. Forget about all those things. It's freshness, it's easy, and it's actually cheap as well. So before I let Alex show us and get us started with a cocktail, the first thing that I want to do is to get started with one secret for my guacamole. Remember, this part is very important. You chop your red onion. So from the red onion that you chopped, I'm just going to use, let's say, a quarter of it. Not everybody likes onion. I understand. So use as much as you feel like you want. I'm just going to use about a quarter of the onion that I chopped. This is a full onion, so I'm just using about a quarter, right? The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 1 lime in there, all right? Why am I doing this? It's because I want to sear the onion. I want to remove all the bitterness from that onion, and the lime is gonna do that. So I'm gonna let it sit here for about 5 minutes with the full juice of 1 lime and that onion in there. You're gonna see how big of a difference it makes when you do that. When you do this and then you make the guacamole on top of this, it makes a huge difference. This is now resting. Now, with all of that being said, let's go into making margaritas. So, Alex, please take us through how to make an amazing margarita to get everybody into the mood.
Hey everyone, my name's Alex and I'm at Sonda Bar in Bentley tonight making some Metoro grapefruit margaritas. All right, let's get started and ensure that everyone's got everything close by to make this drink tonight. So you're gonna need a cocktail tin or a protein shaker or a jar or anything that you can put ice and all the ingredients into. You're gonna need a cocktail measurer or a jigger or a little cup. I'm gonna need a glass to serve it in, a lime, some salt for the rim and for the glass, and obviously the agave that was in the package. Now we've got Pampel here, but you can use grapefruit juice from a grapefruit or Aperol if you've got some left at home to kind of have a twist on the margarita as well. You can also go classic and just eliminate that. That's completely up to you. And we've got the star of the cocktail for tonight, which is the Metoro Agave Spirit. Now, if you open up the little bottles you have and just give it a whiff, you're going to smell a little bit of smokiness which is not standard for margaritas. The reason behind that is because Mitoro here is actually more of a mezcal agave spirit, which is something like we'd call it tequila's big brother. So mezcal is made from the agave plants, which is cooked in these fire pits that have been lined with volcanic rocks buried in the ground, and then cooked for a few days and then crushed and put into a still. So the juices from the agave make this beautiful spirit, which we're going to use for margaritas tonight. Mitoro here is made in Oaxaca in Mexico, and it's actually only about 1,000 liters of this beautiful juice, which is really precious when you talk in terms of agave volumes. Now, let's get started. I don't want to get between everyone's margaritas. All right, first of all, I forgot to mention we're going to need some ice, obviously. We'll start with a lime. So for this, we're going to be making 1 serve of the margarita. We're going to be using 1 lime, so cut that in half. You can either use a citrus juicer or you can just use your hands if you've got enough grip. So we're going to use a whole lime for 1 margarita. I like my margaritas predominantly on the more citrusy side. I like to keep them nice and fresh. Now, I'm not going to throw away one of the halves because we're going to use it to rim the glass. Now, I'll grab my cocktail jigger and I'll add some agave syrup. We're going to be using between 10, 15 mils, maybe 20. If you have a bit of a sweet tooth, that's completely up to you. Use 15 in this one in particular. So this agave syrup is also made from the agave hearts. It's a very healthy sweetener as well, so you can use it for cooking, you can use it for dessert, you can use it in your coffee. Gonna take our red ruby grapefruit liqueur or juice and add 20 mils of that into the margarita. And then last but not least, we've got the hero, which is the Mitoro agave spirit. I'm going to add 45 mils to that. Now, before we start shaking, I'm going to grab our glass and give some salt into it. So I'll take the used half of the lime and then just line half of the cocktail glass. I like to keep my options and have one side with salt and then another just, to sip on. And I'll just gently, yet firmly, just press so I can get a whole heap of salt there. If you've got any spices or you're feeling a bit frisky, you can always add a bit of a twist to the salt rim. Make sure you get rid of all the salt from the inside because otherwise it's going to affect the flavor a little bit. Now, it should look like this. All right, and now that we've got that ready, I'm going to add just a whole heap of ice. And we're going to shake for about 5 to 7 seconds. Now you can see this little gap here. If you've got a cocktail shaker, just give it a good old whack, and then it's just gonna come out nicely. I like to give it a bit of a taste before I pour into a glass in case I want to tweak the recipe a little bit. So I just want to make sure it's perfect. It tastes sweet enough, sour enough. I want to add a little bit more mezcal to it, and we'll take my cocktail strainers here and then hold back the ice and put it in the bowl. Now, as you can see, it's got this beautiful light pink color, which is from the red ruby, and it just gives it that little extra something. A bit of a twist on a classic margarita. Pairs perfectly with Gerardo's guacamole. So, cheers, everyone.
How's everybody feeling? Have a little bit of your margaritas, and then we're gonna make quickly this guacamole. So we're gonna give you some time to go and enjoy this delicious Metoro margarita. So I had my onion. See how the onion has even changed in color. This sort of mixture has become more purple. So the next thing that I'm gonna do quickly is I'm just gonna add my tomato to it. I'm gonna add my chilies. This is one jalapeno. If you like it spicy, add two. If you don't like it spicy, don't add the jalapeno. That's up to you. Even the tomato, for example, not a lot of people use that in the recipes. I personally like it because of the consistency that it brings to it. But yes, it depends on the person and it depends on the recipe. We're gonna add the coriander to it. All right. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of salt. And actually, when I say a tiny, it actually needs a little bit. And it's like a couple of how you call them? I don't know. I'll say a couple of teaspoons of salt, and then my avocados. Now, how do I cut my avocados? I think everybody will have a different way of doing it. I cut them in half. Then I do this to them. These are ripe and ready to go. At the moment, avocados are so cheap. There's no reason why people shouldn't have guacamole every day in the tables. It's just a great time to have and enjoy guacamole. So do that. Do the next one. Do it in fours. This just allows to make the mixing so much easier as you go. And you'll see the difference. You'll see the difference when you taste your guacamole. With that with that onion cure, it really makes a big difference. When actually you bite into the onion, it sort of releases the juices of the lime. You'll see. You'll see. Just wait and see how much of differences that make. I know a lot of people are going to ask why you don't add garlic to your guacamole. There's a laugh in there. I honestly never seen a recipe with garlic in Mexico. I have a suspicion that that's how they do it in the US. However, I can tell you factually that that's the case because there is so many different versions of guacamole in Mexico. The simplest version of guacamole in Mexico is just avocado, salt, and lime. That's it. That's the simplest. And then from there, you can have all these different varieties. And one of my very, very big favorites is the one that has grasshoppers. So last bit to finish the guacamole, use a fork, right? Smash all together and start mixing. You go in, you mix, and then everything starts coming out. So use one of your bowls and see how everything starts coming together. See, this is just amazing. And you have a pack of totopos there with you, or tortilla chips as we call them. Now, what can I tell you about La Tortilleria tortilla chips? And obviously, as a co-founder of La Tortilleria, I can brag and talk a lot about La Tortilleria corn chips, but they're different. And the main reason is because we use 100% Australia corn to make it. So the corn is actually we get it from Casino, New South Wales. We bring it to Melbourne, we crush it, we nixtamalize it, and nixtamalization is the process of making corn edible. And when I say corn, don't think about sweet corn. It has nothing to do with this story that I'm telling you. I'm talking about maize. I'm talking about the cereal, that very tough corn that you find on the fields, all over Mexico and South America, as well as in the United States. And actually, it's one of the biggest crops in the world. That's what makes our tortillas, and that's what makes our totopo. So it's all real corn, Aussie corn, and we just add a little bit of salt and a little bit of natural occurring lime, and that's what makes a tortilla. That's what is so good for you. And I will encourage a lot of you to even once a week change your diet from wheat to corn. Your body will thank you for that. So that guacamole is ready. So the next thing we're gonna do is open some of these. I should know how to open my own corn chips. Open some of your corn chips that you have with you and give it a go. Just see how good it is. This is the next part of the cooking, and we're gonna start with tinga. So, chicken tinga. Chicken tinga, and I'm gonna do this twice because I'm gonna do the meat-based one, and I'm gonna do the vegetarian recipe at the same time. So, if you're not catching up with me, let me know because, don't worry, because I'm doing this twice. So, what are we gonna do is, first and foremost, grab your brown onion, right? And we're gonna chop it, and we're gonna slice it basically. And to slice it, what I wanna do is, I'm gonna cut it in half because that makes it much easier for me to peel, but also to cut. So I'm just gonna peel it off. And then I'm just gonna finely slice it. Now, don't worry too much if it's not finely. I would say they are about 1 millimeter, but if you are two, it doesn't matter. All of this is gonna go into a pot. All of this is gonna slow cook. So at the end of the day, a lot of this onion is just gonna melt away. So I have my onion. And I'm giving you all of you time to catch up. So whilst everybody's getting their onions ready and peeling them off and all that, I'll do my second one as well. And one of the things with Mexican food is that onions are very different in Mexico compared to Australia. For us, the white onion is the one that we use all the time because it's not too bitter. And I find it amazing that in Australia, the white onion is so bitter that you actually have to cook it with it or do something with it because it cannot be used just in salads. And in Mexico, that's what we do. It's sort of our red onion, if you will. I find red onion to be a great replacement for our Mexican white onion to be using guacamoles and in fresh salsas. But once you're gonna cook the onion, brown onion for sure. No questions to be asked. Brown onion is very versatile. It's very easy to use. You can find it everywhere. So pretty easy to work with it. All right, so you have your onion ready. Next thing is to get your garlics. The way that I learned, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, is just to crush them with the back of the knife, right? And once you do that, then just peel them off. I'm not gonna chop it. I'm not gonna slice it. I'm not gonna do anything to it again because everything is gonna melt away. This is gonna slow cook and it's gonna slow cook deliciously. All right, so I'm just gonna do a couple more. Then we're gonna get started with some of the cooking. Hopefully everybody's catching up and we are on the same page. This dish that I'm doing is so versatile, and you'll see you're gonna like the flavor a lot. It's very versatile. You can do this with beef skirt. You can do this with pork. You can do this with eggplant. You can do this with carrots, with zucchini. It is the basis for a lot of recipes. And I learned this recipe through my mom. Sorry, I'm crying from all the onion. There's a lot of recipes for tinga, but they all have the same basis, which is onion, garlic, and tomato. So, first thing we're gonna do is on that pot there, I'm gonna put my onion and my garlic in. Sorry, I'm gonna put sorry. Before that, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil, vegetable oil,
in this case, I have canola oil. There's a lot of you know uh, misconception about canola oil. As long as it's a high grade canola oil, there's no issue. So I'm gonna start cooking this at a high temperature. So I'll say a 10. Sorry, at 8 out of 10. That's what I will be going for. So this is gonna go, and then I'm gonna do the same with the other one. So you don't have to see how I'm doing the other one, or well, maybe you can. So again, I have my pan ready at about 8 out of 10, but I'm gonna put the oil first, splash some oil, and then I'm gonna put my onion in. All right. Next thing we're doing. Next thing we're doing is cutting those tomatoes. Because this is gonna be a slow cooked, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of effort that needs to go into the tomatoes. Now, there's some other tinga recipes that cut for or call sorry for all of this to be cooked and then blended. I don't do that, and I'll show you why I don't do that. So, very simple dish. I do this when I go camping. It's so easy to just prepare it. You just buy all the ingredients and get them all together. So, I get my 4 tomatoes. So I have so far I have three, right? I have my 4 tomatoes ready for my first recipe, right? Just gonna give this. I'm gonna saute my onion, so I just want my onion to get a little bit translucent, as well as my garlic. So we're just gonna give it a little bit of a mix. There you go. Please doing it, smelling delicious. Just do it exactly what I wanted to do. All right, the next thing is I'm just gonna add these tomatoes in there. I'm just gonna put a dash of salt and and the secret ingredient, chipotles. And a lot of people they don't know what a chipotle is, and chipotle is a jalapeno. It's the humble jalapeno that has been smoked, smoked until it dehydrates. Once it's dehydrated, then it's brought back to life with an adobo sauce. So it says here adobo sauce. And the adobo sauce is a combination of many chilies and spices coming together. That's what makes a chipotle. There's a lot of effort to go into making a chipotle. But at the end of the day, it's just a humble habanero. Sorry, habanero. Jalapeno. Sorry about that. Um, that's all it is. And this brand, La Costeña, is what everybody eats in Mexico. But also, what I like of the chipotles is they already dice them and cut them, so they come in chunks, right? So they're ready to go. If you don't like very spicy, I recommend you just do 1 tablespoon. I like it very spicy, so I'm gonna do 2. This is delicious. Chipotle is such a versatile ingredient. If you go to my website, tacoguy.com.au, there's a lot of recipes, and you'll find that a lot of the recipes call for chipotle. All right, this is gonna be. Oh, sorry, and I'm gonna be doing the same for the vegetarian one. So, vegetarian one, give it a stir. No, I want to saute all of this, right? So give me some time to catch up. I have my 4 tomatoes, and then we're gonna do the same. We're gonna we're gonna add the chipotle to this one. Right, so that's one. tablespoon of chipotle because I love it so much. And we're also going to do a tiny bit of salt. And off we go. For my vegetarian one, non-vegetarian one, we close the lid. The meat one, grab your chicken thighs. We're going to put those in there. And cover it up. You can already smell all that flavor coming out. The chipotles just make everything so much tasty. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can get out of this humble jalapeno, as I call them. All right, this is going. This is gonna take about an hour, and you'll see the difference when it comes. Don't feel afraid to every so often open it up. You're gonna see me doing it every so often. I'm gonna open it up, move it around. Just make sure that everything is going in the right place. But there's gonna be right. There's gonna be a lot of flavor and a lot of juices coming out of this one. All right, and we want to get rid of some of that, some of those juices. Now, next thing I want to do before we have a break is two things. People doing the vegetarian version of the ceviche, get some water boiling. So I have here and I don't have to show you, but I have another pot, and I'm just gonna boil some water. So get that going, because I'm gonna deal with the fish first. Then we're gonna go back and do the vegetarian, and off we go. All right. So I have my 200 grams of fish. What I'm gonna do with the fish, and this is a barramundi, and I love barramundi because first of all, it's a sustainable fish. Secondly, it's such a gentle fish to work with. I don't have any skin on, so what I'm gonna do is, if I can find my knife, it's here, is I'm gonna dice it, and I'm gonna dice it in cubes of about, I'll say 2 centimeters, right? To do that first, the first thing I will have to do is get some stripes going on. I'm just gonna switch this. So I'm worried that I'm putting that on the all right. So we're doing the stripes, and then strips, and then from these strips, then we're gonna do cubes out of them. All right. So we'll do this, and then cut it into small cubes. Now, you can cut it as small as you want. In Mexico City, the ceviche that we eat is like almost fish mince. It's cut so tiny that is like a mince, and there's different versions of ceviche, and all across Latin America, there's ceviche eaten in so many ways and in so many places. Now, in one of your bowls, put the fish in there, right? And then the next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab 4 limes, and we're gonna squeeze them in. Now, let me introduce you to my Mexican friend, which is a lime squeezer. They are so practical. They are so good. In Mexico, every household has one of these. Even if you go to restaurants, some restaurants, when you sit at the table, they're gonna have limes, and they're gonna give you lime squeezer to get all the lime. We Mexicans, for whatever reason, love our lime. Everything has to have lime. At the moment, limes are so juicy that is so easy. Now, another way of getting the lime out is with a fork. You get the fork in, and then squeeze. The fork is just gonna help you get into the lime, and then you can sort of squeeze and go around the lime, and the fork is gonna do the job to extract all the juices. Do it again. See? All juices are coming out. Limes are so cheap at the moment. So are avocados. It's amazing. It's amazing that we are at a time right now where some of the two most expensive ingredients that are so essential to Mexican cuisine, are so cheap, and that's so good. So tomatoes, going back to that quiz that we had. So tomatoes in Mexico, all tomatoes in the world come originally from Mexico, and tomato comes from the Nahuatl, which is the language of the Mexica, not the Aztecs. Aztecs is the wrong term, and it's actually derogatory to call them Aztecs. But that's a completely different story. I don't have a lot of time to talk about that. If you go to my website, tacoguy.com.au, there's a whole blog that explains why it's not Aztecs, and we shouldn't be calling them Aztecs but Mexicas. But anyways, tomato comes from the word tomato, and it means the fruit with a belly button. And it looks like a belly button, right? There's no reason why we shouldn't be calling it the belly button fruit. All right, just one more lime. I have 3. Let's do one more. And just make sure that your fish is covered by the lime. It doesn't have to be fully covered, but most of it needs to be covered by the lime. If you sort of, not 100% sure if it has covered the whole thing, just put another lime. As simple as that. If you don't have another lime, you can put, anything that is a citrus, like a grapefruit or an orange, just to make sure you cover up everything. Like mine was perfect. I'm just doing this to do an example of what to do. But mine was perfectly covered before, so I don't have to do it again. All right. So this is ready to go. What's going to happen to it? It's going into the fridge. All right. I'm going too fast, and I'm sorry about that. So we're in the ceviche. So the ceviche, what we have done is we cut it, we dice it into fish, the fish fillet. We dice it into cubes of about 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, and then we let it rest on lime. And I just got the juice of 4 limes for that fish. Next thing, this fish is going in the fridge, and it's going to stay there for at least 30 minutes. Now, what else can you do for ceviche? You can do ceviche with prawns, and prawns take about 45 minutes. So we're talking about raw prawns. Same liquid, same process. That's going to take about 45 minutes on the juice. You can do scallops. Scallops take about 30 minutes as well. And there's many other options. And I'm going to show you another option with the cauliflower. But before I do that, let's check how this is going. It is going deep, it's going full on, it's going delicious, it's going great. So now that my thing is going very, very well, I'm going to lower down the temperature. So I'm going to go at about 5. So 5 out of 10, medium heat, right? We're going to be here for another hour. Same with my vegetarian. I'm going to lower this one to about 5. I don't want it to burn. I want all the juices from the tomato and all the juices from the chicken. I want all of that to come out. So put it at leave it at about half of the temperature. Now, hopefully everybody has caught up with me. And if you're not doing the vegetarian option, then we're set for cooking for the time being. Because the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna finish the vegetarian one. And for the vegetarian one, and please stay with me because this vegetarian ceviche is amazing. We have quarter of a cauliflower that is just gonna go into my boiling water. And I'm just gonna let it sit there for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, that's all. And after 2 minutes, I'm just gonna put it in bowl with ice and water. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of water for that. And that will get my vegetarian dish going. So let's wait 2 minutes. If anybody has any questions, let me know. But the fish diced in cubes of 2 centimeters with the 4 limes is sitting in a bowl in the fridge. My tinga, the chicken one, has the onion, the tomatoes, the garlic, the chipotle chilies, and the chicken thighs. They are cooking medium temperature at the moment. Vegetarian, exactly the same, but without the chicken. Tomatoes, onion, garlic, and chipotle chilies are ready to go and are going in there. The only thing that we're doing now is just waiting for that cauliflower. Couple of minutes, it's boiling violently, which is what we wanted. These two, they're gonna be sitting here for the next 45 minutes. And as I mentioned to you, whenever you feel like, you need to check on them, so let's check on this one. Now that I put the temperature down, see, now it's more controlled, right? I'm getting all those juices out of the chicken. You see how the tomatoes are breaking apart, and you'll see in about 45 minutes, once we get into the chicken, it's just gonna break apart. Delicious, delicious. All right. This one is, sorry, this one is set. This other one is set. I'm just gonna switch off my water from boiling, still boiling. In about a couple of minutes, right? You see how that cauliflower is now has changed its color. It's a little bit more green. That's what I was looking for. Get the pair of tongs, and I'm gonna get this cauliflower out of the boiling water, and I'm gonna put it straight into cold water. Why? Because I want to cut the cooking process. I want to cut it in half because I want this cauliflower to be super, super crunchy. And this boiling water, sorry, this cold water is gonna help me do that. We're gonna cut the process in there. All right, so I hope everybody's feeling okay, is feeling good. I think ceviche is something that a lot of people tend to be a little bit afraid about. There's nothing to be afraid with ceviche. It's very simple to make it, and it's all about in cooking that fish with the lime. That is the secret of that beautiful ceviche. And then obviously we're gonna sample together, and I'm gonna give you a few more ideas in terms of all the things that you can do with the ceviche, all the things that you can add to my chicken tacos, my chicken tinga tacos because that's a special. It's going. I have my guacamole. I forgot to mention to save some of that guacamole because it goes very, very, very well with your tacos. We're gonna go with Jack to do the Rosita cocktail. So, Jack, all over to you.
This cocktail we're going to make is the Rosita, and before we get into that, my name's Jack. I work over at On Top in Ormond. If you're partial to live music, really good drinks, really good party, come down. We'll always hook you up. We've got Metoro by the barrel hooked up, ready to go, yeah? So it's going to be sensational. I can see all you guys in chat, so, I'll answer any questions you have while we're doing this. So the idea behind this drink is simply, to make something a little more out there. It's a little more delicate to make, but still super simple. Like, obviously, margarita is a renowned recipe, but it's like a bit more outside the box, yeah? So what I want you to do, actually, first, what I'm going to do is move this camera so you can see my little setup here. And I hope you've got all your ingredients. If you don't, there's a couple substitutes and tricks I can teach you. You don't necessarily need tins for these either. If you've got a glass, you can use that as well. Well, you should have a glass, but if you've only got a glass, you can just churn this. So grab your longest glass, even a wine glass will do, something a bit more volume than your traditional coupe. And what I want you to do is just grab 5 fresh raspberries, just bang them in your tin or in your glass if you don't have access to a tin. And now this is going to show my technique here. I'm using a wooden spoon to just muddle those raspberries and kind of make a paste out of it almost. Like what you want to do is release the flavors and effervescence of those fresh raspberries into a sort of paste. And you can probably already smell those you know, almost sour flavors coming through. And the reason I use the raspberries is because it's oh, that's delicious. It's obviously, you know, easy to get in Australia, and it's bringing through those fresh, somewhat sour flavors without having to rely too much on lime, which we've seen a lot of already. There is still lime in this, don't get me wrong, but it's, you know, it's an almost like sweet sour alternative that's already relatively balanced. Okay, I'm going to add one more in there because I really, really like raspberries. So if you do as well, go for it. And just muddle those up. You can use a glass if you're not using a tin, though you'll miss out on the funnest part. And just make that into a delicious, oh, so good, paste. Okay, then, set that aside for a second. What I want you to do is take your lime, and before we cut it, I just want you to peel a little twist off the side like so. Okay? And the reason we want that is because I want to rim the glass with the oils from the peel, so you get like a citrus flavor on the nose while you drink it. But I'll come to that later. Just going to cut that in half. Ready to go for your juice squeezer. Okay. Now we're going into the tins. Okay, so if you have one of these, fantastic. If you don't, you've got that fantastic fork technique that Gerardo showed us earlier, or you can just use brute strength, yeah? I know you're all strong and powerful. You can use your hands. And what I want you to do, if you don't have a jigger, by the way, a measuring thing, if you have like a cap from a bottle of wine or something similar, those usually measure about 15 milliliters, okay? So you can utilize that in lieu of this. I would recommend getting one of these, okay? So you want 15 mils of lime juice. Wonderful, spot on. Bang that straight in there, beautiful and fresh. Okay, you take your Chambord. If you don't have Chambord, it's not the end of the world. If you've got any sort of, you know, blackcurrant, creme de mure, creme de cassis, even creme de bois, any sort of currenty berry liqueur, you can use that instead, or you don't need to use it at all. But I like this because it's a black raspberry liqueur, and it brings out some of those, you know, raspberry flavors that we're looking for here. And it's delicious, you know. So add that there. Then agave. I know you've all got agave, so you can't weasel your way out of this one. Just 15 mils again. Right down there for you. Drop that in. So if you've got a particular sweet tooth, like Alex said earlier, you can add a bit more. This drink itself, though, there's a lot more going on in it than your traditional margarita. The flavors will blend nicely, so you can be a bit more vigorous. If you want a bit more mezcal or a bit more raspberry, go for it. Speaking of juices, I hope you've got some cranberry juice. So this is a long drink, yeah? This is a disco drink, right? This is a drink you take on the dance floor and party with. So you want 90 mils of that cranberry juice in there. Oh, it's going to make it long and refreshing. Cranberry juice as well. It's got an almost bitter element to it that lends itself to the flavors quite nicely here. And then you take your mezcal. I hope you've all got some. You should do if you're here. And you know what? I go straight for a double in my drinks. Yeah, there's they're hanging around, so 60 mil of that in there. So this drink aims to bring out that smoky element of the mezcal. Oh, you can also see me. While bringing some new fresh, delicious raspberry flavors. So if you have ice, well, you need ice, so you should have ice. If you don't, it comes out the tap. We're going to do it in the freezer for a bit. Fantastic, okay? So I'm just taking a handful, yeah? But the idea is, the amount of ice you want is to fill up your tin until the very top, to the brim here with ice, yeah? So this is for one serve, by the way. So if you're making a couple, it's you're going to have to take a few tins, all right? If you don't have tins, that's not the end of the world. Like I said, you should all just be building your ingredients in here. And this is the point where I'd ask you to add ice into your glass if you don't have tins. Okay, now the fun part. Cool. So if you've got tins, what I want you to do is just slowly shake, almost like a roll, like this, yeah? Because with this drink, we don't want to, you know, dilute it too much. We want to aerate it more while chilling it, okay? Just on a slow roll. If you are shaking this, make sure you're not facing someone with the tin because it will fly out your hands if it's too wet and knock them out. So make sure you face the other way, okay? It's a very, very good time to check out your guns at the same time, you know, while you're shaking it. Make sure you look good. And then you just want to roll that until you have like a level of condensation on the tin, yeah? Now this is the fun bit, okay? So you see there's like a wider gap here. So what you want to do is just tap that on the side to open her up, okay? Because otherwise sometimes it gets a little bit difficult. But now we've got our drink in here. So now, glass users, what you want to do is fill up your glass with ice, like so, all the way to the top, yeah? We don't mess around with ice, okay? It's like, think of like a iceberg, yeah? The reason it doesn't melt is because there's so much of it keeping it cold. So if you have less ice, it's going to melt faster and dilate your drink quicker. So what you want to do is have as much ice as possible to keep your drink as is intended to be, okay? And you take your strainer, or if you don't have a strainer, you can simply put the lid of your tin on top and pour it, but I actually use a strainer. And the reason we're single straining is because we want those raspberries to come through into the drink. If you have not got a tin, you take your spoon, your tablespoon, and your glass, which should be filled with all the good juices right now, and just churn and stir that so we aerate and dilute it. And unfortunately, we can't shake it, which saves a lot of time. So while you're doing that, you just top up and pour. Like that. Boom. And if we come back down here, I like to take another raspberry as well because, you know, it always looks good. Drop that on there, and then I'll take my twist and just turn it and spray the oils over the rim of the glass and drop that in there as well. And that is a Rosita. And if you taste it, it's a beautiful color. You get that smoky mezcal flavor, which is, you know, Maturo is actually a unique agave spirit because it's not overpoweringly peaty. Like you try like Villalobos, Kikiriki, even Vida, other agave spirits that lend themselves to like a mezcal distillation like style. And they're quite overpoweringly distinctive in their peatiness, but this allows you to be creative with your ingredients and, you know, bring out elements that the mezcal complements without, you know, being overpowering. So this is a nice long drink. It's super boozy, super strong. So be careful, but it's delightful, and I'm so happy to share it with you all here. Okay.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe from Jack. Also, want to say thank you to everybody that had put time and effort for this, both Jack, Alex, and Shai as well. That Shai will be with you shortly. She's going to be showing you how to make this amazing and beautiful dessert. I want to say thank you to all of them because they are volunteers. They have put their time to do this, and everybody, that, including you guys, for supporting us, because together we have raised almost $5,000 for Friends for Good. Friends for Good is a charity based out of Melbourne, but that their mission is to fight loneliness in Australia. And you would know, you know, you're with me how important is that, but also during these times of pandemic. So thank you, everyone, because we have all, as part of this process, made a big impact to a lot of people. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being so supportive. We are doing this as volunteers, and also because we love Mexican and we want to show you something different. So what I want to do is quickly, I want to go give you a few minutes break, basically 7 minutes until 7:10 when Shai will be here and she will be showing a few things. However, I want to check on your chicken. So let's go and check on that chicken so that everything is in place, right? So if you look at my chicken, I have my two versions going on at the moment, right? This one is looking beautiful. See all that juice? Is looking beautiful. So just give it a little bit of a stir.
And then that's it. Place it back. Keep it in low, please. Keep it in low. Now, my chicken. Look at that chicken. It's going very well, that chicken. So the only thing that I would like to do is just give it a little bit of sear. And that's it. If if your chicken doesn't look like this yet, if your chicken is very watery, two options. Either crank up the temperature a little bit. So if it is a 3, put it in a 4, or remove the lid for the next 5 minutes. But I will suggest to keep the lid for now. Let's actually keep the lid on. Just crank up the heat for a little bit. That's all we have to do, and we're gonna keep it like that. So the cauliflower, we keep it in the. I still have it in the cold water. It's still sitting here. See? There's nothing to do with it. Just keep it like that. If it's already cooled down, very very cooled down, you can take it off, right, and then just let it sit on a chopping board or let it sit somewhere, or just on a plate. We're not gonna do anything with it for the moment, because it has cooled down. It's gonna have a lot of crunchiness, and that's all I need. Right, so don't worry about it. Put it on a plate and let it sit on the bench, or put it on a plate like I have, and then just put it in the fridge. So yeah, nothing else to do with it. All right, so I want to give Shai, she's ready to go, an opportunity to show us her dessert. Shai is in Sydney. She has her own business. She does Mexican desserts. You should definitely follow her on Instagram, Dulce Beso. And Shai, over to you. Another very passionate Mexican on the other side.
Hi guys. I know that probably you are more in like drink mood and now food mood, but I promise you will love this. So what are we making is palanquetas. That is, yeah, exactly, with peanuts and sugar, caramelized sugar. So we are going to place in a medium pot with some butter. This confectionery is actually really common in Mexico. You will find it maybe in each corner because, yeah, I don't know, is this like a sweet or special candy that we usually eat in Mexico, not just as a dessert. So palanquetas, that is the name of this delicious dessert, it comes from the pre-Hispanic. So even before the Spanish went to Mexico, we had this kind of dessert, so imagine that. The thing is, like, it wasn't actually peanuts, it was corn, as you might know, corn and honey. So it's really nice that we keep this traditional dessert. The thing that I decided to make this one is because in my house, we used to, with the mom, my mom used to say like, yeah, you should have something quite healthy. I know that with the whole sugar, it doesn't look that healthy, but it was just like having something better than just candies. So yeah, and my mom made this when we were a child, so it's really nice. So you just melt your butter, and when it's almost melted, you will add sugar. You can use actually with anything like the sugar that you prefer. It doesn't matter if it's white, if it's raw. You can use whatever you have in your house. So we just put it in the pot. And you need to stir it all the time because we don't want our sugar to burn. You will notice when it goes brownish, but not that dark. So you just keep stirring. And I think it's actually really easy to make. And it's not just like for now, you can also keep it some for the week. You can just keep it in the fridge. If you are vegetarian, you don't have to use butter. Just put the sugar and don't use the butter. Also, at the end, we are going to use some cream. But in this case, if you are vegetarian, you don't have to use it. You can just melt the chocolate. The traditional thing is also to use some piloncillo. but I know that sometimes it's difficult to find. As that's the reason that I'm telling you. You don't have to complicate yourself. You can just use the sugar that you have in your house, white, raw. Actually, sometimes I prefer raw. So you just keep stirring. Just check that your is a medium high. We have another desserts, like typical desserts. I don't know if you have heard about arroz con leche. That is the rice, the Mexican rice pudding. It's also really nice. And we use coconut instead of, just let me check this. Regular cream, yeah, could be. The cream is just to help a little bit the chocolate to melt, as is 70% cocoa. What we call it cacao, by the way. And I don't know if you know that also cacao comes from Mexico, the chocolate, or a bean. So that's the reason that I love this recipe, because we use some of the main Mexican ingredients. Peanut, for example, is not exactly Mexican. It's Peruvian, I think. It comes from, we call Mesoamerica, that it was a part of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize. So some of the ingredients are from South America. So in my personal opinion, I don't really like that much peanuts. So I use just a mix of nuts. So you can use also a mix of nuts. And just stir. Takes a little bit of time, but you need to be patient, because this is about patience. The search is a little bit of patience. I have a small Mexican bakery here in Sydney. We actually make bread, delicious, traditional Mexican bread. Conchas, pan de muerto. And everything is like a little bit of touch of the Mexican flavor, you know, even vanilla, as Gerardo said before. We will add a little bit of vanilla here. So just keep going, as you can see, still a little bit. So for me, adding a little bit of butter makes a little, like, the flavor is a little bit stronger. But as I said, you don't have to use butter. You can use also maybe, yeah, the coconut cream will add a little bit of flavor too. Or also, you know, with desserts and in general with Mexican food, when you're in another country, you can add whatever you have in your kitchen. It's not like a rule, you know? And I like to use also cinnamon. For me, also tastes a little bit like a churro. I don't know if you know churro. Churro is a little more from Spain, but obviously we have a lot of Spanish culture in our own culture. So yeah, just keep going. Hopefully you're not too drunk making this dessert. And make sure, actually, one of the best tip that I can give you is that please use a metal spoon. Don't use a plastic. See? What is going to happen when you are drunk and you just want to cook some palanquetas? So be careful. So just keep going. As you can see, it's almost there. Also in the instructions, it says that we have to prepare the tray with the baking paper. So make sure that it's already ready before we finish this, because you need to put it really quick here. You can use also just grease the tray, but I just keep it here aside. In the meantime that I'm melting, making the caramel. So you will see like a little bit of sugar balls, but you need to just keep going, stir it as much as you can. Sometimes it's a little bit heavy, so you can add a little bit of water if you want. so we will use a little bit. Also, I recommend you that don't use anti-adherent pan because this is going to be difficult to wash, I have to say. But you can use this dessert as a snack also. So you, as I said, just keep it in the fridge and you will have it for the whole week like a snack. So you will see that, but don't be patient because you can still move it until everything melts. Another twist that my mom used to have for these palanquetas, it was the chocolate, because actually the palanquetas you see in the streets is not with chocolate, but I remember that it was her idea, and I don't know if she's the only one, but she said like, oh, maybe we can add a little bit of chocolate so you will like it. Because I didn't like that much when I was a child because of the peanuts. And after, yeah, obviously I changed it a little bit. I'm using now a mix of nuts. You can add whatever you want. Almost there. So now we can add the peanuts or the mix of nuts. Just like that. And move here until you cover the whole nuts with the caramel. So you need to move really quick. You will see that it's now heavier. I want the people to feel, not just to try the flavors. It's more about the Mexican culture is also to share, to care about the people. So that's the most important thing for me. Yes, your caramel needs to be a little bit brown, like light brown. I don't know if you can see. I use also white sugar. So it's something like this color. If you wanted more, yes, like a bitter flavor, you need to keep going. But I think I'm going to just leave it like that. But yes, you need to keep going. It's a little bit of patience, like that. Now I will add the special flavor, some vanilla. I think this twist of vanilla is also really, really nice. I don't know, I add vanilla to everything actually. And now that you know that it's actually Mexican, you will be really proud to add vanilla to everything. So yeah, also as I said, you want to use peanuts. So peanuts in Nahuatl, or in how we call it, is cacahuate. It's not exactly Nahuatl because it changed maybe the word. So it comes from Peru, but we use it a lot also for candies or sweets. So it's ready. Sometimes I add a little bit of cinnamon, but this is not exactly like if you don't have now cinnamon, it doesn't matter. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just going to put it here. Go for my, so too hot, be careful. Now, yes, you can do it. Just be careful because it's really, really hot. And now, just try to make like a layer. So I usually eat this as a snack, even like could be after lunch or just if you fancy something sweet. I would promise you that this is really, really nice. So now that you make a layer of the peanuts, we're going to do our chocolate. So I really like to use the 70% cacao. because it's a little bit bitter, but it's nice with this sugary dessert. So you will put it in the microwave, like in a 70% of power, because we don't want to burn it. And just cut it in pieces. It's easier for you, so you will just melt it. And don't be afraid if it doesn't look like really nice. I tell you that we won't look maybe super nice chocolate, because when it's more than 50%, it's really complicated to make like a dip of chocolate, you know. I will show you. So just with your chocolate, add the cream. Could be normal cream, thickened cream, or coconut cream if you want also. So add it and put it 30 seconds in the microwave. Let's do that. With the chocolate, you need to just move and move until you mix the cream with the chocolate. So in the meantime that the chocolate's melting also, what I like to do, if you see the peanuts with the sugar is now hard. So what I like to do sometimes is to use with a knife. You can grease it a little bit. So I have a little bit of butter here. And try to cut it now, because after will be more difficult. Maybe when we add the chocolate, you won't see exactly where is the cut, but I will tell you that it will be easier to cut after. So just try to cut some pieces. Usually it's in like square pieces. Not that, for example, Mexico, you don't know much about desserts in Mexico. It's more about tacos, margaritas. But there are a lot of things that we do, like a dessert or the traditional bread. So yeah, you can visit also my website. You can check different Mexican flavors there. So now that it's melted, the chocolate, we can add it in the top. I'm going to use a spoon, will be easier. Just like that. Also, you don't like that bitter flavor, you can use a normal chocolate with more sugar. But as I said, I think it's nice when you have like a combination, because obviously this is too sugary and this a little bit like bitter touch with chocolate. Also, the cacao is really healthy when you don't add that much of sugar. That's what I like to drink also cacao or cocoa with less sugar. It's really healthy, really nice. And this is even this dessert with this kind of chocolate make the difference. Something like that. So this recipe, it was actually from my grandmother. And, you know, like for us, it's really important to share this with you. Some of the traditions, some of the culture. As you can see, it doesn't need to be perfect. Now it's ready. You can put it in the fridge and just wait. I think about 30 minutes. So we'll be ready, and you can crush it and have a little piece.
All right, everyone, let's finish this off, because I want everybody just to go away and enjoy their food. What are we gonna do? Let's start with the fish, because I reckon this is gonna be ready. All right, let me bring the camera here. Double check your chicken. Double check that it's not burning. Double check that it still has some water on it. That's all that matters. Make sure that it has water or a little bit of moisture inside. If it doesn't have moisture, turn it off. Keep the lid on. All right, that's all you have to do. Turn it off. Keep the lid on. All right. So look at this fish. Look at it. It's cooked. You know, it's all white. It has cooked now. It has seared. Why do I have pink spots? Well, it's because in some of them, this is just the type of fish, and this is the fatty bit. Some of them I didn't turn them, so I should have. No, actually, well, I didn't have to turn them, but I should have covered with a little bit more lime. It's just because I had the wrong bowl. However, there's no point. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with this not being fully cooked either, because again, it's like a sashimi, and you're gonna enjoy all these flavors together. So, what are we gonna do? Let's start with the cucumber. So I like to use my cucumber with the uh, uh, skin on. Again, I like skin on because I know a lot of the nutrients are trapped in the skin. So I like to keep all the stuff in, and I think it adds to the flavor of this dish. So particularly for this one, my recommendation is to keep the skin on. If you don't like the skin, by all means take it off, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna chop it finely. So I'm just gonna make some slices. So I'm just making the slices of it, and then I'm just gonna dice it. Boom, 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 boom. Right, that goes into my plate. So I have my plate here. All right, so that's in. Next thing I'm gonna do is chili. Now this is an Asian chili, right? These long chilies are very Asian. However, all chilies are originally from Mexico. And I apologize in advance that we're saying a lot of things are from Mexico, but they are from Mexico. Avocados, pineapple, vanilla, chocolate, tomatoes, uh, uh, chilies, corn. All that is originally from Mexico. So I'm sorry if it just sounds like I'm repeating the same story all over again. All right, so what we're gonna do? Cut it. Just same. I'm gonna dice it, and then I'm just gonna give it a little bit of. I like seasoning. I like it. I like the seasonings. Why? Because I like it spicy. If you don't like it spicy, very simple. If you don't like it spicy, what I suggest you do is just do a dent inside of it and remove all the seeds and the veins. Right? Normally you wash it, and then chop it. Right? But I like spicy. Right? So put that in your plate. So now I have cucumber, I have my chili. I'm gonna put a little bit of onion. Again, people that don't like onion, don't put it. If you don't like it too much, just put a little bit. I'm just gonna put another quarter of that onion in there, right? So it's in there, delicious. And then I'm gonna put some coriander. If you have already chopped and ready to go from before, use some of that. If you want to chop more, just chop a little bit more, then just put it in. So I have my coriander in there. What I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna put my fish in there. I don't like to use all the juices because I think if I put all the lime juice in that's gonna be overpowering. Right, so I'm just basically gonna scoop out my fish. If you really like acidic things, I invite you to use the juices of that. It's up to you. And then we're gonna finish it off with orange. And you don't have to use the entire half orange, just a little tiny bit of that orange. Then that's my salt. Tiny bit of salt. The fish is already salty, but not the veggies, so it does need a little bit of salt. And just to finish it off, a tiny bit of olive oil, just to give consistency, and then mix it all up. I'm pretty sure your version may look better than mine, and depending how you plated it, it should look very, very pretty on the plate. So how do you eat this? Well, you can have a tortilla chip, like the ones that we sent to you, and it's just amazing to have them like that. See, like that. Yum, 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 yum. Now, the vegetarian version. Well, for the vegetarians, it's exactly the same. What people were asking about that cauliflower before, what to do with it, just let it sit. It's gonna be crunchy, see? It's crunchy, because it hasn't overcooked, therefore it's crunchy. It's very, very, very nice, very crunchy. So what we're doing is just chopping it, right? We sort of want to have a sort of a consistency similar to the fish that we did, but doesn't have to. So we will add that into here, into a bowl. I think mine was a little bit big, so there was just a little bit of left over there. So what are we doing next? We're gonna add a little bit of an onion, right? We're gonna add a little bit of that coriander. We're gonna add the chili. You can also do the chili in slices, like rounded slices. Again, there's so many varieties or variations to this. Now, the only difference here is we're actually gonna put a lime in. Why? Because unlike the fish, we didn't cook this in lime. So we're gonna have one lime. We're gonna put a little bit of that olive oil. We're gonna put salt. So a little bit more salt than we did for the fish because we don't have the fish saltiness, and orange juice. Half an orange is plenty. All right, we mix it. And mine is lacking a little bit of color because, unfortunately, and I'm sorry, and it's missing the completely forgot about that. Completely forgot. I was like, why is it missing so much color? Because I forgot the cucumber. But also, I would have added a full chili to this one instead of half and half, and that also will add a lot of color. All right, there you go. This is a delicious salad. I know a lot of people that like fish, they're gonna be very happy with the fish ceviche. But don't overestimate this particular dish. This one is a very tasty, very delicious salad, and I would call it sort of like a cauliflower Mexican salad. It's just great. It's just great. Look at it. Look at all those colors and the crunchiness. The crunchiness of that cauliflower, it's gonna amaze a lot of people, and it's gonna make a lot of people happy. All right. Now, the tacos. We're just gonna finish it up now with the tacos. So two things we're gonna do. We're gonna reheat the tortillas, and we're gonna get that chicken tinga. We're gonna check on that chicken tinga first. Reheat tortillas. We're ready to go. This is gonna be super quick. Now, sorry, people ask me about the chili oil. This chili oil that everybody got, with your ceviche, whichever version you have with the cauliflower or the fish, add a little bit of it. You'll see, it's gonna take your ceviche to the next level. This salsa is made in Melbourne by I think I've said that before, by a Mexican lady who's very passionate about what what her Mexican food, and she wants to do something different. And we're very used to, like, you know, the traditional Asian sort of chili oil. Well, I think Mexicans, we can take it to the next level, and I really, really hope you enjoy this salsas. And if you, you know, if you're looking for buying some of these, just go online to a place called poblanomexican.com.au, and you'll find this and many other products, including obviously La Tortilleria tortillas, right? All right, let's finish off tonight. So by now, I hope that everyone's tinga, the chicken one, looks like this. And for the ones doing the vegetarian, and what you have to do is basically you just have to press it. Sorry, that's the vegetarian. Sorry, for the vegetarian, quickly. Sorry, guys. Sorry, vegetarian people. What we're gonna do is the eggplant or aubergine. We're just gonna shred it in, grate it. I said half of the eggplant. I think should be plenty. I need to get a new one of this ones of the graters, because this one is falling apart. What I find is sometimes you have to like twist between one side and the other. So because one side sort of like gets you know, gets a little bit, I wouldn't say used to it, but it doesn't run as fast. So you sort of have to switch sides, and then it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And just keep going, keep going. Another option is just to slice it, right? You can definitely slice it, and then by slicing it, you can get to the same. But I like shredding it because I want it to look and taste and feel like a chicken. You know, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I also should have got a bigger one to go faster. Anyways, that's my eggplant that I have added. So I'm just gonna mix that eggplant. I'm just gonna mix it with the rest. Close the lid. If you still have it on, switch it off now. I think it's time to switch it off and just let it sit for a few minutes, right? People doing the chicken. Hopefully your chicken looks like this one, dry like this one. And see how this chicken just breaks. It just breaks apart. It just pulls just by doing like this. Another way of pulling your chicken is to use tongs. I don't want to use tongs because of my saucepan. But see, you just put them on top of the chicken just pulls apart. All right. Now, if you still have a little bit of juice left on your chicken, don't worry, just remove the lid. We're gonna reheat the tortillas. Well, if we reheat the tortillas, these two are gonna be ready. If you're doing the vegetarian or you're doing the chicken, if you still have a lot of juice, remove the lid, and it will cool down. But it's not gonna take a long time to reheat the tortillas. That will get it going. But mix it all together and pull it for each of them. If you don't have juice left like I do, then what you need to do is mix it, right? And then put the lid on and leave it there for now. We're gonna reheat tortillas. There's different ways of reheating tortillas. I'm gonna show you the most practical one, but there are different versions of the same, right? So one of the easiest way to reheat a tortilla is by using a very hot saucepan. In my case, I have what we in Mexico call a comal, which is a very thin, very thin iron cast, basically, but very thin. You can use any saucepan or frying pan. Just make sure that it's very hot. That's all you need. Something that is very hot. Okay. Grab your tortillas. Open your tortillas. There is a tear here that you can follow. open your tortillas, and then once your pan is super, super, super hot, this one is now because it's a very thin one. Grab 2 tortillas at a time, 2 at a time, and then put them on the pan. Why 2 tortillas at a time? This is because tortillas are 50% humidity, right? So what we're doing is the tortilla on the bottom is gonna trap the humidity. Sorry, the tortilla on the top is gonna trap the humidity of the one on the bottom when the steam rises, and that's gonna make them super, super soft. 2 tortillas at a time. That's my trick. That's how I do it. Another way of doing it is you can also use the microwave. I'm not a fan of the microwave, but what you do is with a tea towel, just put maybe 5 tortillas at a time, sprinkle some water, and then put them for 50 seconds in the oven. Now, every microwave is different, so it may take a little bit longer. See, these tortillas are beautiful, are reheating perfectly. So it's about 10, depending on how hot your pan is, it's about 10 seconds on each side. See, these tortillas are super steamy. Oh, ready to go. That was so quick. That was so quick. So 2 at a time. And then once you get them out, it's very important to put them inside of a tea towel and wrap them. Now I have what we call in Mexico a tortilla warmer, which is a small basket, and then it just goes into the basket. But a tea towel will do the work. We're gonna be eating very quick, or very soon, sorry. So that's all we need. So again, showing you again. So 2 tortillas at a time. The one in the bottom is already heating up very quickly. So just flip them. And if you want to use a spatula or tongs, use that. Actually, I recommended it. I think I have Mexican hands that are used to do this, but do use some tongs or a spatula to get them out. All right. So have 4 tortillas. If you want to do more tortillas because you have a big family, go for it. Right. I have my tortillas ready to go. So we have come to the end of the night, and this is, I guess, the best part of the night. This is where we have everything ready to go, and I wanted to bring this to the table and enjoy with everyone. So I'm not going to take a lot of your time. So, how do we eat tacos in Mexico? How do Mexicans eat a taco? Grab a tortilla, see all the steam coming out, delicious. I'm actually gonna do the vegetarian tinga. So I have it here with me. I'm gonna add some of that tinga, so the filling goes in, right? And then I'm gonna add my guacamole. Now, if you run out of your guacamole or you wanna try something spicy, give a shot to that chili salt oil that you have. I promise you, it's not gonna disappoint you. And anything where you use chili oil, now try to use this Mexican one. It just adds a different version to it. Now, how do we eat a taco in Mexico? 2 fingers on the tortilla, right? So grabbing the tortilla, 2 fingers, and this is the secret. It's not the taco to the head, it's the head to the taco. That way, your taco doesn't fall apart. See, I'm still holding it. Now, if you want to be a master of eating tacos in Mexico, it's all about the pinky going for a fly. So the pinky needs to be up, flying. Just a tiny bit of dripping because it's a saucy, but not a taco all over the place. So I want everybody to go and enjoy the food. Thank you very much. You have made a big difference to a lot of people by being here. I hope you enjoy the food. Have a lot of tortillas, eat a lot of mezcal, drink a lot of mezcal, sorry, and enjoy your night. Thank you very much. We're here to make you enjoy Mexican better. Gracias.